She has been called the most dangerous woman in British royalty. Not dangerous because she holds power. Not dangerous because she has access to palaces or state secrets or classified information. Dangerous because she talks. Loudly. Specifically. Without apology. And with a level of detail that makes the people she talks about reach for their lawyers. Her name is Lady Colin Campbell. And for the past several years, she has been running what can only be described as a one-woman war against Meghan Markle. Not a tabloid war. Not an anonymous source war. A fully named, fully attributed, YouTube uploaded, book published, tweet posted, podcast recorded, documentary featured war. In public. With her face on camera. Using her full name and her title. And what she has been saying. The specific allegations, the detailed claims, the psychological assessments delivered with the confidence of someone who believes she knows exactly what she is looking at, has made her the single most quoted anti-Meghan voice in the world. Tonight we are telling you the full thriller of who Lady Colin Campbell actually is, what she has actually said, why a former royal insider called her revelations the chickens coming home to roost, and why the things she is now alleging about Meghan's cash crisis and acting return are generating more attention than anything she has said before. This is Royal Daily Report, and tonight, Lady C is taking the floor. Hello friends, my name is James, and you are watching Royal Daily Report, your #1 source for the most exclusive, most shocking, and most talked about royal stories on the internet. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now because you do not want to miss what we have coming. And if you have been here from the beginning, you already know. We never stop. We never hold back. And Tony GHD is no different. Let us start with who Lady Colin Campbell actually is. Because understanding her background is essential to understanding why her commentary lands differently from ordinary tabloid criticism. Georgia Ariana Giadi was born in Jamaica in 1949. Her story is one of the most extraordinary in modern British aristocratic life. She was born intersex and raised as a boy until the age of 21, when she underwent corrective surgery and began living as a woman. She married Lord Colin Campbell, the son of the Duke of Argyll, in 1974. The marriage lasted less than a year, but the title stayed. Lady Colin Campbell, Lady C, as she is universally known. She became a writer, a socialite, a biographer. Her 1992 book Diana in Private was the first serious biography of Princess Diana that revealed intimate and previously unpublished details about Diana's life inside the marriage. It was a sensation. It was controversial. And it established Lady C as someone who had genuine inside access to royal circles, who was willing to publish what others would not, and who was not going to be intimidated by the institution or its lawyers. She has written books about the Queen Mother, about the Duke of Windsor, and about Meghan Markle. Her 2020 book Meghan and Harry, The Real Story was, in her own words, a brutal assessment of who she believes Meghan actually is. And she has been updating that assessment, publicly and loudly, ever since. If you want to understand exactly what Lady C has been saying about Meghan in 2025 and 2026, subscribe to Royal Daily Report right now. Because what comes next is where this story becomes genuinely shocking. Let us talk about the Auschwitz comment. Because this is the statement that made Lady C's commentary in 2025 and 2026 go genuinely global. During Harry and Meghan's Australia tour in April and May 2026, Meghan wore a striped Mateau shirt to a meeting with survivors of the 2025 Bondi Beach shooting. Lady Colin Campbell posted on X, and these are her exact documented words, that the shirt resembled, in her phrase, half the uniform of Auschwitz or Bergen-Belsen inmates. The South China Morning Post confirmed this. The post spread immediately. The reaction was intense. Critics described it as wildly inappropriate and offensive. Others said it captured something about the optics of the moment with brutal efficiency. Lady C did not delete the post. She did not apologize. She stood behind it. That is her method. Say the sharpest possible thing. Mean it completely. Let the reaction come. And keep talking. What made the moment even more complicated was the broader context it emerged from. Meghan had been at that Australia tour wearing outfits that her team was simultaneously selling through an AI fashion platform called One Off, allowing followers to buy similar items. When the ensemble she wore to meet the Bondi Beach shooting survivors was listed on the platform, the backlash was immediate and severe. One Off eventually removed the listing. Lady C's comment arrived into that backlash and accelerated it in a way that generated coverage across the world. Like this video right now if you had no idea how far Lady C's commentary had traveled in 2026. And subscribe to Royal Daily Report, because what comes next is about the book that started all of this and the specific allegations it made. Now let us talk about Lady C's book. Published in 2020 and updated since, Meghan and Harry. The real story made allegations that were, at the time, described by many as extraordinary. Chief among them was Lady C's claim that Meghan is what she called a narcissist, not in a casual sense, in a clinical, specific, definitional sense. She described Meghan as someone who is unable to form genuine emotional connections, who uses people for what they can provide and discards them when they are no longer useful, who constructed a public persona that she said bore no relationship to whom Meghan actually is privately. Royal Insider, reporting on Lady C's commentary across 2025 and 2026, noted that her allegations had consistently centered on what she described as Meghan's capacity for manipulation, her treatment of people she considered useful versus people she had finished with, and the gap between her public humanitarian positioning and what Lady C alleged was her private reality. Lady C has also, repeatedly and specifically, quoted and discussed a Vanity Fair cover story from January 2025. That story, headlined American Hustle, described Harry as socially marooned with little interaction with anyone outside his nuclear family. It described Meghan as reparenting Harry after losing his mother Diana. And it included the sentence, from an unnamed source, describing Harry as having been so exhausted that Meghan made everything easy. Lady C's response to that Vanity Fair profile, posted on X on January 18, 2025, was the tweet that was quoted everywhere. She said, "Boy, are the chickens coming home to roost in the most entertaining way." Then she quoted the Vanity Fair headline, American Hustle, and she said the very title of the piece told you everything you needed to know. Do not go anywhere. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report and turn on those notifications, because what comes next is about the most recent and most damaging allegations Lady C has made, about a cash crisis, about Meghan's acting ambitions, and about a lazy eye. In the most recent period of coverage, 2025 and into 2026, Lady C's commentary on her YouTube channel and in media appearances has focused on what she describes as the Sussex financial crisis. She has used the word panicking to describe Meghan's alleged state of mind about the couple's financial situation. TikTok content summarizing her YouTube videos used the exact phrase panicking Meghan Markle lazy eye halts acting return as Lady C reveals the truth about cash crisis. Let us break that down, because each element of it deserves separate attention. The cash crisis allegation is the one that connects most directly to what we have been covering on this channel about, as ever, the lifestyle brand with reportedly hundreds of thousands of unsold products approaching expiration. Lady C's position is that the financial pressure on the Sussex household is more serious than the palace or the press have fully acknowledged. She has described what she calls a systematic pattern of commercial overreach, of projects that generated enormous public attention but inadequate revenue, and of a lifestyle that requires income the couple has not been consistently generating. That analysis is not unique to Lady C. Multiple journalists and commentators have made similar observations about the Sussex commercial operation. But Lady C makes it with a specific and personal ferocity that goes beyond financial analysis. The acting return allegation is where it gets more specific and more controversial. Lady C has allegedly claimed on her YouTube channel, which has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, that Meghan's attempts to return to acting have been complicated by a physical factor, a lazy eye. That is a specific, named medical claim about a specific living person. It is unverified, it is contested, and it has generated enormous online discussion precisely because of how specific it is. Lady C made it on camera, under her own name, with her face visible. That is either extraordinary confidence or extraordinary recklessness, depending on which side of this story you stand on. Now let us talk about something that Lady C said about Catherine, Princess of Wales, that made headlines in December 2025. In a Christmas special episode covered by YouTube, Lady C allegedly told commentator Dan that Catherine despises Meghan. Not dislikes, not finds difficult, despises. That is a strong word. And Lady C, in her commentary, described what she alleged were specific incidents and specific conversations that had led Catherine to that position. This is where Lady C's commentary begins to enter territory that even her most ardent supporters acknowledge is difficult to verify. She claims sources. She claims access. She claims that her social and aristocratic connections give her information that journalists working through conventional means cannot obtain. And on some subjects, the early Diana material, the inside view of upper-class British social networks, her track record suggests those claims have some validity. On others, including specific allegations about the inner lives and private relationships of living people who have not confirmed anything she says, the track record is less clear. Royal commentator Hilary Fordwich, speaking to Fox News, offered an assessment that many observers share. She said Lady C is someone who clearly has real knowledge of certain social circles, who sometimes gets things right in ways that surprise people, and who sometimes goes further than the evidence supports in ways that serve her own platform more than they serve accuracy. That is a balanced verdict from a credible source, and it is the right lens through which to evaluate everything Lady C says. Let us talk about why Lady C matters to this story, even when you apply appropriate skepticism to her specific claims. Because the answer is not simple. Lady C is not a journalist. She does not have an editorial process. She does not have a fact-checking team or a legal department reviewing her statements before they go live on YouTube. She is a 77-year-old woman with a title, a history, a YouTube channel, and an absolute conviction that she is right about Meghan Markle. And she says what she thinks. Loudly, specifically, without the filters that institutional journalism applies. And in a media landscape where the official channels are cautious, where the palace says nothing, where Meghan's spokespeople issue carefully worded denials, and where most mainstream journalists are constrained by defamation law and editorial caution, Lady C fills a specific and apparently enormous gap. Hundreds of thousands of people watch her YouTube channel. Her tweets get reshared across every platform. Her book was a bestseller, not because everything she says is verifiable, but because she is saying, loudly and specifically and with obvious conviction, things that a very large number of people already believe. That is not the same as being right. It is also not the same as being wrong. It is the specific, uncomfortable position that Lady Colin Campbell occupies in the story of Meghan Markle. The woman who says what others will not, who names what others imply, who stands in front of a camera under her own name and says, "This is what I believe happened, this is what I believe is true, and I am not going to stop saying it." Whatever you think of Meghan Markle, whatever you think of Lady C herself, that combination, conviction, specificity, and an utter refusal to be intimidated, has made Lady Colin Campbell the most watched, most quoted, most controversial royal commentator of the decade. And she is nowhere near finished. This is Royal Daily Report, and we will keep covering both of them. That is all for tonight, friends. I am James, and this has been Royal Daily Report. If this story hit different for you, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you have not already, and turn on those notifications because we drop new stories every single week. Share this video with one friend who loves royal news. I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay informed, stay curious, and stay royal. Goodbye, friends. Hello, friends. If you are not subscribed to Royal Daily Report yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button right now.